I chose my 10 favorite chest building exercises, and I'm going to be showing you all in less than 20 minutes. So I will be outlining why I chose these exercises, what are the functions of this exercise, as well as a short tutorial between 1 and 2 minutes of how to do each exercise, and finally the best muscle building techniques for each exercise. So let's get to the first one. The incline bench press, I started doing it since I was a beginner in the gym. I always liked this exercise. I always tried to mostly hypertrophy work, but also strength. And I chose this exercise because it's very easy to do. You don't need a lot of equipment. You just need a bench, need a gym, and some dumbbells, and you can do in a lot of different ways. Now, the functions for this exercise is that it targets mostly the upper chest, but also as well as the mid and low chest. It all depends on the different angles you put it on the bench. For example, if your bench is more into close to a 0-degree angle, you're going to focus more on the whole chest, and if it's more in the 90-degree angle, it's going to focus more and more on your shoulders. So you need to choose which in between is best for you. The most recommended is between 15 and 30 degrees. Now, how to do this exercise is very simple. Get a bench, put it in a 15 to a 45-degree angle. It all depends on how you feel your chest muscles working more effectively for you, because some people feel it more in a lower incline, some people feel it more in a higher incline, right? It all depends on where you put it. After choosing what angle to put it, get some dumbbells. Now, don't do this too heavy, especially if you're a beginner. And before doing the exercise, retract your shoulder blades back and down, and this way you stick your chest up, right? When you sit in the bench, your chest should be sticked out, and do a slow eccentric between 2 and 3 seconds, and then an explosive concentric. Now, which is the best muscle building technique for this exercise? Well, you can choose to do a 1-second pause at the bottom while sticking your chest out as much as you can, and then following an explosive concentric. And you'll see that following months and months, especially if you're in a book, you're gonna gain muscle faster. It has been multiple studies, especially on lengthened partial studies, as well as doing some isometrics. For this example, the 1-second pause is an isometric, that you can build a bit more muscle this way. So try it if you like it. You may feel the pump, of course, but the pump doesn't always equal growth, right? What equals growth is training hard. And I think this technique is gonna make you train harder and focus more on the chest rather than just going to point A to point B, right? So the second exercise will be the incline chest flies. We're gonna focus again on the chest fibers, but for this exercise, we're gonna focus more on the whole chest because are the flies, right? And the problem with flies, before telling you why I chose this exercise, is that most people do it in a very bad range of motion, or they pause at the top of the exercise and it's just making it worse. So what will we do in this exercise? Now, first, I chose this exercise because I have realized that I can focus more on the technique. I feel my chest working, especially in the lengthened position of this exercise, and so that's why I chose it. Because this exercise in specific, we're gonna focus more in the lengthened part of the exercise, because that's where we're gonna feel mostly our chest working. But when we contract our chest and put the dumbbells close on the top position, you're gonna notice that you're not feeling anything on your chest, right? So we're gonna focus mostly on working in the lengthened part of this exercise, right? Now, the function, as I said, is of course work the chest by doing some contractions, right? Very simple. But how you do this exercise? Now, as the first exercise, you're gonna choose a 45-degree angle. You need to put it on a 45-degree angle, maybe on a 30-degree angle if you feel it more on your shoulders again, right? After choosing the angle of the bench, you're gonna get some dumbbells. This is gonna be a more lighter weight because we need to focus more on the chest, so we're gonna do higher reps, right? We can also do lower reps, but lower reps and higher weight in chest flies, you are dealing with fire, right? You're not gonna want to do that. So try to lower the weight in this one and focus on the technique by doing between 12 and 20 sets. It all depends on where you like it the most. You can grow muscle even with 30 reps in a set. It's completely good to do it. Now, finally, what is the best muscle building technique for this exercise? Well, it's the long lengthened partials. Once you can't raise the dumbbells up, try doing it, raising when you just can't raise it anymore. And that's a good way to go to failure, especially on your last set. Don't do this in every set, do it on your last set. So do some lengthened partials. I think you have saw Sam Sulek doing that in most of his exercises, which is very good. But for working the chest with this technique, I think that the flies are the best ones. So do that and let me know down in the comments if you really like that technique. Now, the third exercise is the one that I learned from Jeff Nippert, and actually doing a machine exercise that I thought that it was very ineffective. But again, it's all based on how hard you train, right? And if you do the technique correctly. So it's a declined chest press, and this is a machine where you can put plates. Mostly hammer strength have these exercises, and I chose this exercise because it targets most the lower and mid chest, because there's a lot of chest exercises that we do that we focus more on the upper chest but not on the lower chest. Now maybe you're in the opposite side where you're focusing more on the lower chest, but for most people it's quite opposite. So if you want to balance out your chest, if you see that your chest is growing more on the upper side than the lower side, you can neutralize it by doing this exercise. Now, the functions of this exercise, well, again, mostly targets the chest, as I say, the lower chest. But when we're gonna do this exercise, it's very important that you do it in a slow eccentric. I think that if you apply slow eccentrics to this exercise, you're not gonna go to point A to point B with your legs hanging out like most people do. It's not gonna be effective. Now, if you focus on the technique, focus on slow eccentrics and explosive concentric, training close to failure, you're gonna feel your chest working, and week by week you're gonna feel the difference and your chest starts growing and slowly, right? And which is a good muscle building technique for this exercise? Well, you can do myo reps if you want to. Try when you finish your first set, rest some seconds, then rest some other 10 seconds, do some 3 sets, and continue doing it until you can do even 3 reps again. Sorry, not sets, reps. Now, the fourth one is gonna be the flat dumbbell bench press. Now, we're gonna focus more on strength in this exercise, because in my experience, I have always focused mostly on strength in this exercise, because it's flat, you use dumbbells, you have a freer range of motion. Yes, you can do hypertrophy work in this exercise, right? But you can also do some strength work as well. So it all depends on what you want the most. But I chose this exercise because for me, I have always done this exercise since I'm a beginner. Before doing the exercise, again, retract your shoulders back and down, so this way you have your chest sticking out, and this way you focus more on those muscle fibers, right? Now, kick the dumbbells up and start in that position. Lower the weights in a eccentric 2 to 3 seconds, right? If you want to pause at the bottom, doing the technique of the first exercise, and then a full, very explosive concentric after that. Which is the best muscle building technique? Well, you can again pause 1 second at the bottom, so this way you actually feel your muscles working and your chest muscles working just like in the first exercise. The fifth exercise is going to be the machine chest flies, another great exercise that you can grow to failure as much as you can without any guilt of injuring yourself. Again, always do the right technique. And I chose this exercise because, again, I thought there was a very ineffective exercise. When I was a beginner, I thought that machines were very bad for building muscle, and learning from experience, learning from fitness experts and scientists and influencers, then we can see that machines are as effective as free weights, right? So for me, chest flies have been also a game changer. Now, the problem is that most of us do it half reps or do it very fast, and it's more ineffective right now. When we do this exercise, again, the function is the same, targets the chest. How to do this exercise? You need to focus again on slow eccentrics. So get the bench, put the bench height where your arms are parallel with or perpendicular with the handles, right? Because if your arms are not perpendicular, you may target more the lower or upper chest or even your shoulders. We want to target the whole chest, right? So do it that way. Now, grab the handles in a way that you already have some tension on your chest. So try to flex your biceps or bend your elbows. So this way, when you do the full contraction, try to squeeze your biceps together, and you're gonna feel your chest working way better, right? And finally, for the best chest building technique, in my opinion, is the long lengthened partials again, because if you thought this is the same movement pattern as the chest flies, so it shouldn't be bad to also do this technique in this exercise, right? So go ahead and let me know down in the comments. Now, the sixth exercise is gonna be the decline push-ups. I learned this one from Jeff Nippert. I never thought of it. I never know why. I always did it with resistance bands, mostly incline, but you focus more on the whole chest in this exercise. Now, this exercise again is for pure hypertrophy. Try to focus on the technique, do the slow eccentrics, pause at the bottom, it's part of the exercise, and then the explosive concentric. And that's how you do the exercise. It's very simple. You just need, of course, some plates or some elevation. If you're doing at home, you need some books, but it's the same movement pattern, right? Which is a good muscle building technique for this exercise. Well, you can do long lengthened partials as well, because if we do push-ups, we may do 12, and then we're going to start to do some partials. So when you start doing some partials, then you can do the long lengthened partials. Try to do this on your last set, right? The number 7 are assisted dips. Why assisted? Well, because if you do normal dips, it's very high probability that you're doing half range of motion. You're not elongating your chest fibers into a full range of motion, and you're not maximizing your gains, right? So that's why I chose assisted dips, because if you do less than 6 or 5 reps on a set of dips, or even with weight, yes, you can do some strength training with dips, but instead of doing dips, you can do the bench press on the barbell, right? So with dips, especially assisted, we're gonna focus on hypertrophy. So again, it's very important that you focus on the technique, because if you don't focus on the technique, maybe you're not gonna build as much muscle as other people who apply all of this, right? So how to do this exercise: put a weight where the machine just doesn't elevate you up very explosively like a rocket. That's because you can do way more reps, right? So when you feel your chest working and you feel you're training close to failure, then you're actually doing the right way. And then you lower the weight until you do it without any weight, and then you can add some weight, and you're gonna see that your technique will always be a good technique. Now, when you're doing this exercise, count 3 seconds when doing the eccentric, pause 2 seconds at the bottom, and do an explosive concentric. And this way you're gonna feel your chest. I have said that so many times already. And then this way you're gonna work your chest more, right? Now, for a muscle building technique, I think that pause as part of the exercise, I think that's enough. If you still want to do some lengthened partials at the last set, go ahead as well. The 8th exercise is gonna be the flat barbell bench press. There has been a lot of studies showing that strength actually correlates with building muscle. Not as optimally as other exercises, but the bench press is a staple for most people who go to train their chest, right? Including myself. But as part of this list, I really wanted to focus more on the strength side. So how to do this exercise? Well, first is that you must put your grip position in where you are more comfortable. So people like it more narrower, some people like it more wider. It all depends on you. But remember that if you put it more narrower, you're gonna focus more on the triceps. You're gonna put it wider, you're gonna focus more on the chest. Now, try to go more on the wider side, so this way you target more the chest, right? And put your foot planted in the best planted position ever, because you're using your whole body to raise the barbell up, right? So for this one, focus on slow eccentrics between 2 and 3 seconds, and then do the explosive concentric. Now, we're not gonna do any muscle building technique here, because you'll need a spotter for that. I'm assuming that you're gonna do it without a spotter, so don't train to failure in the barbell bench press, please. The 9th exercise is gonna be the cable crossovers. Cable crossovers is this exercise that if most people do it better, because I'm not telling that people do this bad. The problem is that when we do the cable crossovers, we try to punch our fists together instead of squeezing our biceps together. And when we punch our fists together, we're working more our shoulders and limiting the range of motion of our chest. Now, if you try to squeeze your biceps, like in any other chest exercise that I have mentioned, you're gonna feel more your chest. What I really love about this exercise and why I chose it is that you can work it on a cable position from the ground, put it in the middle, or put it on the highest position. And you're gonna focus more on the upper, lower, middle chest depending on where you put it. Now, in my preference, I like it to put it on between the lower side and the mid side, because you're actually stretching your chest in the initial position when you have already the resistance of the cables, right? So you're gonna do it this way. You're gonna start in this position and then do an explosive concentric, and then a 3-second eccentric, and pause at the eccentric part. And you're gonna, again, work your chest way better. You're gonna actually know that you're working your chest instead of working other muscles in your body. And finally, for the last exercise, will be the incline Smith machine bench press. A very underrated exercise that you can go to failure because you have the assistance of the Smith machine. You can raise the bar up again, you just put it on the clips and you're completely safe. That's a very higher advantage than doing it on the barbell. And that's why I chose it, because it's more safe. And it's the last one, but it's one of the more effective ones if you do it for a long period of time with the correct technique, training hard, training close to failure, or even to failure. You can do this one in this exercise. So, which is the function? Train the whole chest. Now, for this exercise, we want to put a bench in a 30-degree angle. Now, because it's a Smith machine, you're gonna try to align the bench from where it is best that when you lower the bar, do the 3 to 4 second eccentric, the bar is close to your sternum, in between your chest fibers and your sternum, right? Between there, because if you put it more higher or more lower, you're gonna start feeling working other areas of your muscles, and that's what we don't want, right? We want to work our chest. And then this way you already know which is the best position, so every time you come back, you already know where exactly to put the bench. Again, it's very similar to the incline bench press, the technique and the form and the range of motion. So that's my last exercise. Now, if you really enjoy this list, if it's part of your routine, if you already have one of these exercises as part of your routine, that's great. Let me know down in the comments which is your favorite, which ones I didn't mention that you think are better than this 10. If you want to follow me, subscribe for more videos like this. I've been trying to do the best videos as I can, trying to improve in every single video. And for this one, we're gonna focus mostly on the chest. If you need more assistance, I'm a personal trainer. You can check down below in the link in the description of my own website. Again, guys, thank you so much for watching, and check my latest video right here.